We are going to call this meeting into order now. It is 7:02 p.m. on September 26, 2022, and this is the 13th public meeting of the City of Portland's Police Accountability Commission Subcommittee on Research. At this moment, I don't know if we have any Spanish facilitators right now, so I'm going to skip that. And we also we don't have ASL today as well. So the closed captioning is turned on in Zoom as another means of assistance. Please note that this is an automatic captioning service and it is not always accurate. The city supports access to meetings on the Police Accountability Commission and can provide other language support as well. Please email in advance of public meetings, either as a response to public meetings notice or directly to policeaccountability@portlandoregon.gov to ask for other assistance, including interpretation in other language. This is a public meeting and is subject to City of Portland's Administrative Code and Oregon state law and is being recorded. For this meeting, the chat function is enabled for commission members to communicate with each other. Members of the public will be able to ask questions using the Zoom Q&A feature as the commissioners are presenting and or discussing things. If attendees have questions, please feel free to submit them through the Q&A. We hope to use this feature to help guide our conversation during the meeting and future meeting agenda topic items. We'd like to be clear that not all questions will be answered during the meeting, but if both the question and answer will be visible, if they are answered, both the question and answer will be visible and will be part of the meeting record. To access this feature, just click on the Q&A icon in the middle of your screen. I'd like to pass it to Sophia for our land acknowledgement.
Thank you. Although the city has asked for a moratorium on land acknowledgements, the co-chairs have received a request from a PAC member that some form of land acknowledgement continue. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to recognize the limits of any land acknowledgement that we may have and the harm that it may be and the harm that can be done by an inadequate or a disrespectful land acknowledgement. We're working to find a respectful way to continue to center our Indigenous voices. So may we have a moment of silence to reflect on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Sophia.
Thank you.
Now we'd like to move to our community agreements. Please take time to read the community agreements. If we could have the Spanish interpreter introduce themselves and after the community agreements, that would be great. Victoria, can you go to the next slide? No. The end of.
Okay, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can you repeat what you say, please? I just got it.
If you could.
Oh, I can read over here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, aló, buenas tardes. Voy a ser su intérprete en español. Entonces, tenemos disponibilidad de interpretación en español. Si está usted, o sea, si de su idioma de preferencia, y también esta es una reunión pública de la ciudad, de la administración. y esta de aquí va a ser grabado. Ok.
Thank you. Okay, and we have finished our community agreements. So,
Entonces, estos son los acuerdos. Can you set up the interpretation, please?
oh. Okay, thank you. All right, I guess I will pass it now to the co-chairs again, or co-chair Sophia, to go over the timeline. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you so much. The commission is currently in the fact-finding phase of work, which is extended until September. This phase of work may need to be extended into October based on our timeline of this subcommittee. The phases include hearing from key stakeholders, identifying barriers to accountability in Portland presently, and examining systems of accountability from other jurisdictions, and proposals from subject matter experts. It also includes increased community engagement work. Future phases of work will be developed. We'll develop the partners for the new police accountability system. And before the commission presents that to the city council in 2023 for their consideration and approval. So for our next slide, this slide is the current project plan for the fact-finding phase of the Police Accountability Commission's work. It's not their agenda, but it's an updated regularly. The slide is mostly for members of the public to be able to understand how the commission gets from now to the end of the phase, which focuses on identifying areas of agreement among commission members as barriers to accountability in the current system, best practices from Portland and other jurisdictions, and suggestions to consider from experts, as well as the public, as well as taking public comments and meeting with key stakeholders. Today's meeting falls into the green box with the purple border. Slide 8. So as a part of completing the fact-finding phase, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of error in my announcement. So just give me 1 second, let me make sure. The October 3rd purple box in the upper left corner should say September 29th for the full commission meeting. The October 3 date is actually the final meeting of the subcommittee on research. So I'll keep moving from there. As part of the fact-finding, as part of the completing the fact-finding phase, the full commission will consider ideally approve 3 documents, which are listed on this page. The first 2 are being developed in the subcommittee for referral to the full commission, where they will be discussed again for before being approved. The third, which focuses on barriers to police accountability in the current system in Portland, as well as best practices in Portland, is being developed at the full commission level throughout this phase as well.
Next slide, please.
So today's meeting agenda focuses on the first 2 draft documents just mentioned. Have a review the draft areas of agreements on proposals from subject matter experts on Thursday. This meeting will focus on finalizing that document and referring to the full commission today. If any time remains after the document has been referred, the subcommittee will discuss the draft areas of agreement on best practices and practices to avoid from other jurisdictions document. There will also be time for general public comment during today's meeting. All right. So I'll pass it on to the facilitators. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll now move into discussing the draft areas of agreement we'll now move on into the discussion of the draft area agreements, proposals to consider or avoid, and from other jurisdictions. This will include reviewing documents which have, nope, that is not right. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. That is right. That is what. Thank you. This will include reviewing documents which have had some minor updates into the text. It will also include revisiting items flagged for further discussion. We will ask you to follow normal discussion rules. Please be brief with each time you speak. Even though you can speak multiple times, please be facilitate. Remember, we are using a weighted stack in our discussion. Finally, please be forward-looking in your comments. Would co-chairs like to start the conversation or frame the conversation, please?
Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. That thing screwed up on my screen for a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the draft document, resolve some of the comments in each of the categories. We can address some potential word changes and then go from there. So right now what we have is, as requested, we have the index that was requested. I just want to let everyone know that, these will change a little bit as we make more edits, but it's all going to be tracked and track changes. So we have that. So we can move on to. So what we will do here, I'm sorry, I got too many things on my screen. We will address the items that have comments that need to be resolved first. So we could we scroll down to any areas that we need to resolve. Okay. So here we are. So there was some discussion in the last meeting to consider wordsmithing this. She said it was originally and compelling testimony from police. So I would let Anita actually just facilitate this part.
Yes.
Thank you.
And are we starting from C2?
Yes.
Thank you. The oversight body should be able to compel testimony from police officers as a condition of continued employment. Is there any strong opposition to this? Oh, C2. Oh, sorry. Dan Handelman. Commissioner.
Good evening, Dan Handelman. I use him pronouns. I think if we're resolving things, then I think this is just adding this new phrase here that says "and compelling testimony from," which was my suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what we're being asked to look at.
Okay.
In this case, and I'm a little confused because this is an expert recommendation. Are we looking at the experts document or the jurisdictions document? I guess I didn't even understand that when we started.
We're in this matter experts document.
Subject matter experts. Yeah, because I got
okay.
confused as well. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the question is there any strong opposition to this change, which would be crossing out including and adding and compelling testimony from police officers. Monica, Commissioner Monica.
Hi, Monica Arce, Commissioner, and use she, her pronouns. I would just say and compel testimony. It's just a grammatical thing instead of compelling testimony.
So it sounds like, is there any other comments before we move on?
Okay. Commissioner Monica has her hand.
No, no. Mm-mm.
Okay,
Thank you.
so Abide, I will turn it back over to you.
Yeah, I think that, is there any other strong opposition or any others? Is there a strong general agreement to this change? From changing compelling to compel? Okay, great, thank you. All right, we'll move to the next one. As soon as this is moved around. So pardon me, I'm getting used to being able to read this and see all of you at the same time. So I'm kind of playing with my screen right now, just to make sure that I can see you and the page. Okay, so are we mediation? And I believe we'll be reading this whole, yes, staff.
Apologies, just to clarify, previously thought we were going from top to bottom through this document. I just wanted to clarify if we're asking for votes in advance of the referral, should we be going from top to bottom, or is the intent to circle back around after adjudicating the particular comments, just to clarify from the co-chairs?
That was my.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then the top, because if there's
So
no.
Then we're here, sorry.
Okay, so we're doing the comments first.
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay. So this comment is Eileen Luna Fireberg. Probably saying that wrong. In her 2008 assessment, Fireball. In her 2008 assessment of IPR, promotes transparency, as well as saying that transparency is about the public's right to know public business. Is there any strong opinion about this language, or is this language acceptable for the commission, the subcommittee? I see fingers. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. So this is good. We'll move on. Staff.
This is not showing in track changes because it was just a move, but to clarify, there were 3 items which were marked as uncategorized in the draft on Thursday, and there were 3 additional items which were in the what was then section B, law and policy, which all had, well, 5 of the 6 at least, possibly the 6th, also had a conversation around this being outside of the mission and scope of the PAC, but nonetheless a desire to include it in some capacity. So co-chairs worked with this to put all 6 into this sort of middle category between proposals to consider and proposals to avoid. And so all 6 of them are in here, and they're not showing in track changes, but they are new. The 6th one was unclear whether or not it actually fit here or in category D, and it was a question that the other commissioners had for Commissioner Monica, so they may ask when we get to the 6th item in this about investment in communities, but just wanted to flag that although it's not showing in track changes, it is to be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sophia.
Yes, I also just wanted to reiterate that I forgot to say that all of these are under a new heading. They're called proposals for city and state and federal consideration. So, so all the ones that we had categorized last time that didn't fit in any of the other subheadings are placed into this category. So okay, we have Monica.
Commissioner Monica.
Thank you. I am wondering if things that are matters of federal law and national law have a place in this document. It just, I mean, not only because it's like Dan Handelman says above our pay grade, but we as a city police accountability commission, I don't think we need to state our position in these national laws. I think we're just muddying the waters by doing that. And I'm not married. I did this research and I'm totally not married to having it in the document. I'm questioning whether we even should have it or not, is what I'm saying.
Thank you, Commissioner Monica. Commissioner Handelman.
I appreciate that. I'm willing to let go of some of your research. I also feel that, I mean, somebody else wrote this intro paragraph because it didn't exist before, so I think we don't need to say that PAC encourages people to consider these proposals. We can just take that sentence out. I think we should just leave something in there just saying that these are for future consideration. Yeah, and we don't know if the PAC agrees with us yet. So we're just presenting this document to the rest of the commission. But I think it's good to have them for the final report that we give to City Council if it's something that the commission agrees to. And if it gets left behind at the very end because we didn't have time to go over them, that's fine. But otherwise, there's no mention of them at all. So I think it's nice to have them as a reference point.
So my question to the commissioners is this the sixth sections that are proposed by the National Police Accountability Project. Should we just move through those since we're not? Commissioner Monica.
Yes, I'm into it. That's fine. As long as, I've put that thought out there. And if you guys think that this is good to include, I'm totally happy with it.
Commissioner Sophia.
I was going to say, I think we should include it, though we don't have any control over it. It sends a signal of us looking at things big picture wise, and as well as being somewhat proactive in how we hope that police accountability may be in the future, which is going to, of course, help us in the long run. But I would suggest that if there's no strong objections to having it in, all the items under this, which we discussed before, that we leave it in and see what the full commission has to say about it.
Okay, I see lots of hands and waving of fingers. So, okay, so we know at this point we'll leave this in, just as is.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I guess we'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Leave it as it originally was.
Thank you, commissioners.
So do we want to go as a group over each one, or are we okay? We want to just review it?
Everyone's good to move it on. Yeah,
Okay.
That's why I was asking that, because of the fact that you have gone through all these before.
Okay.
Let's just look at number 6, just because that one is the last, and I don't believe we all have gone through that, and that has notes on it as well. Okay, let's see. Staff.
Yeah, so the question was essentially whether it fits here versus under item D1, and it has to do with whether or not the intent behind this item was to, and I'm recapping a conversation between commission members in the last subcommittee meeting, but whether or not this was investing in oversight or the oversight system investing in communities.
Oh, Commissioner Monica, sorry.
Yeah, when I looked into this, it looks like NACHOL would like any police accountability system to have emerged from community, and that the system is well-funded and supported by government so that the community feels supported in the whole process.
Commissioner Handelman?
So it sounds like you're saying this needs to move up then, Commissioner Arce, is that what you mean? The funding section?
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So do we want to, does everyone agree we can move this to which section were you
This is
suggesting?
this is 6.
So
Section.
Under
There.
budget?
it's actually D2, apologies.
Section 6 is moving to
Okay,
D2.
let's just go ahead and move that then. Everyone agrees, that is.
Yeah, yep, I see everybody doing the thing, yeah. Thank you, commissioners. So this is the next section. And I'm reading the whole section this time, correct? Because there's no red track change.
That's the last of the comments left to adjudicate at this point. It would be starting from the top.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to read the whole thing. So I'm starting here. Okay. The oversight body should have the ability to proactively provide structural oversight, not solely react to misconduct by individual officers. Okay, I see fingers. Is there general agreement or consensus to this? Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Lavisa, yes, okay. All right. A2. The oversight body should be independent of the police department. Commissioner Handelman.
Yeah, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. We're almost done with this document, but I thought we talked about maybe having a note on these items like this one that we recognize this is already in the Portland City Charter, or something like that. I don't know if we came up with language for it, but this would be a good one to put that on.
Yeah, the coaches and I, we talked about that. And right now we want to focus on content and so that we can get this one pushed out, and that's something for the full commission to probably be good for them to have to say so in that too. Monica?
Hi, I'm sorry to jump in, but let's just get the final document done. I think that's a really good suggestion, and let's put that in all of the items, that specific sentence in all of the items that are in the charter. And you know, I mean, those are final details right there that could get this document finished and ready to present. It's my thought.
Thank you, Commissioner Monica. So, spirit fingers from Commissioner Iona. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear, we hadn't done this on any of the other documents. So is this something we're going to keep doing? Because once you start it, you'll have to, people are going to expect you to keep doing that through every single document that we put out. And my question is, do we want to do that? Do we want to do this now, or do we want to bring this to the full commission to decide if it's going to be something that's repeated?
Commissioner Monica.
Thank you. I think that charter that was made very much looked into a lot of the recommendations from NACO, and I think it's very much worth it to point out from the beginning that a very important national organization has laid out this map for oversight, and that Portland's system was laid out in the same way. So I think it makes everything stronger.
Okay. My question is still, do we want to bring this to the full commission? To make so the full commission could have a say so on that.
Commissioner Iona first.
I actually think it's easier to put it in now, and then the full commission could just decide, we don't want to do this, and we can just take them all out. If that's what the full commission thinks in the end. But I think while we're focusing carefully on this, and we know which ones are actually a match with the charter amendment, then let's make note of that. And then once we get to the full commission, if people go, that's not necessary, it'll be easier to pull them all back out than it will be to figure out where they go in. And we're putting attention to it right now, so let's do that.
Okay.
Commissioner Handelman.
Yeah, and just to answer Commissioner Glenn, the question, I think if we run across something in the other document that we want to add this to, that's great. I don't think we have to go back through every item on that one. But I think on this one, with the recommendations from experts, I agree with what Commissioner Arce said, and I think it'd be really important for us to acknowledge it in this particular document. And I'm going to reiterate something I said at the last meeting. These documents that we're creating are for the commission itself. They're not really they don't really need to go anywhere beyond them. So we're kind of flagging it for the rest of the commission, saying, you know, we don't have to really put a lot of thought into this about whether to change the structure because it's already there. But so you know, these experts said this is what we should do, so we're already there and we're in good shape. So I think that's the point of it. Thanks.
Okay, I just would like to make one comment. These are for the commission, but these are public documents as well. So we have to think a little bit further into this as well. So we'll put that in there. If everyone agrees, we'll just go ahead and put it in there, at least specifically for this one. Okay. Let's keep going.
Thank you, Commissioner Sophia and Commissioner Handelman. Okay, so am I now reading this or are we moving on? I am now confused. Thank you.
We're moving on. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, you're reading it as well.
So I'm reading I'm reading what's highlighted here. Okay. This is already included in the Portland City Charter, Community Police Oversight Board, Section 210. Is there any strong opposition to this language that was just added? Okay, I see no strong opposition. Is there general agreement to change or to add this language? Wonderful. Okay, I believe we can move on. Thank you. The Oversight Board should be the final decision-making authority on disciplinary matters, adjudicating use of force, recruiting practices, and policy development. Proposed by Nicole, spreadsheet reference MA010B. Nicole proposes these powers as part of ensuring that the Oversight Board is sufficiently empowered to provide civilian oversight of law enforcement. State laws already afford extraordinary protection to law enforcement officers and conceal extensive information regarding their work from the public. Civilian oversight bodies must be given real power, or else they risk being performative political statements with no actual teeth or power. Is there any strong opposition to, Commissioner Handelman?
Well, thank you. So what we were doing previously, and I think we can continue, is just reading the header and then letting us read the sub dots. That will help us get through this faster, because we already read these in
Yeah.
a previous meeting.
Yes.
But my real comment here is that this one's very tricky in terms of the city charter, because the only one item that's actually in the charter is that they're supposed to be the final decision-making authority on disciplinary matters. So maybe we should just acknowledge that, that the city charter envisions, and I want to say envisions because I have a feeling that's going to be challenged, but envisions the new board to have final decision-making authority on disciplinary matters. So it's really clear we're not saying they have the authority on adjudicating use of force, recruiting practices, or policy development.
I just want to make a comment. We're just, these are just suggestions for best practices. I mean, we're not saying anything in particular about what we have the power to do, but what we think is a good practice.
Okay, so I will read this. Final decision-making authority on disciplinary matters is already included in Portland City Charter Community Portland Oversight Section 210. Is there any strong opposition to this? Yeah, you have to wait. If is there any strong opposition to this change? Is there any agreement? Is there general agreement to this change, to this language being added? Thank you. We have consensus. We can move on. I think we can scroll up. Is there anyone else? Does anyone have anything else on this item? No. You can move on. Thank you. The oversight body should be individualized to the local jurisdiction with a structure and rules meeting their unique needs. Is there any strong opposition to this language? Is there general agreement? Thank you. We have consensus on this side. Is there consensus on this item? Thank you. We can move on. B1, the oversight body should present annual reports to City Council each year. Is there any strong opposition to this language? Is there general agreement to these changes? I believe I see consensus. We can move on. The statistical definition of sustained right in oversight agency reporting should be sustained complaints out of all complainants received, not just those investigated. Is there strong opposition? Is there general agreement? Okay. We can move on. The oversight body should have direct access to police files. Is there any strong opposition? Is there general agreement to this language? I see almost everyone. Oh, do you have a comment, Commissioner Handelman?
Yeah, this is also reflected in the charter. I was just checking that.
Okay.
So we should make a note of that.
And my apologies for moving a little bit fast. Just want to make sure that, okay, so I'm just going to read this into record. This is already included in Portland City Charter Community Police Oversight, Section 210. Is there any opposition to this change? Is there general agreement to the addition to this language? Okay, thank you. We have consensus. Okay, so we'll do this one, and then we're going to take a small break before we go into the next section. We'll take about 5 minutes just to give interpreters a break. Okay, the oversight body should be able to compel testimony from police officers as a condition of continued employment. I'm just going to give you a minute to look this over. Commissioner Handelman.
Yeah, this is another one that's in the charter, but I like the way the language is stated because it leaves it's included in the charter, but we can still have that discussion I was talking about before, whether this is going to get challenged or not. So, just stating it that way is perfect because it doesn't propose that it's going to happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Handelman. So I'll read this. This is already included in the Portland City Charter Community Police Oversight Board, Section 210. Is there any strong opposition to the addition to this language? Sorry, I have to see y'all. Okay, is there a general agreement to the addition of this language? Thank you all very much. There has been consensus on this language. And it is 7:45. We will return from our break at 8 o'clock. Anything else on this item first before I move on? Okay, thank you. We'll return at 8 o'clock. Sorry, my apologies. 7:50. 7:50, 5 minutes. We are now in section D, staff and budget. D1, the oversight body should have support from paid staff across the range of duties the oversight body is expected to perform. Is there any strong opposition? Sorry, I lost all of you for a second. There we go. Is there a general agreement to this language? Okay. I believe we have consensus. Is there anything else? Okay. All right, D2. The oversight body should have permanent guarantees of sufficient funding. Is there any strong opposition to this language? Is there general agreement to this language? And I believe there is some track change language for police oversight. Usually, okay, thank you. Financial and
Ayomide, I'm sorry, Commissioner Debbie wants to talk.
oh, thank you. I did not see your hand. Sorry, Commissioner Iona.
That's okay. So is this one where we want to mention that there's a provision for this in the charter amendment? And it may not be the right place to put it, but it seems like it might fit there.
Commissioner Handelman?
I actually would not put that in there because what the thing is, it guarantees that the board will have 5% of the police bureau's budget, but we don't know if that's going to be sufficient, right? I think the key word there is sufficient. So if that's not enough money to do what the items that that the charter says it has to do, then we don't know. So I almost suggested that, but I think we should leave that off this one.
Okay.
Okay,
So we're striking that,
yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah. leaving it as it was.
okay, so I'm just gonna read this. Oh, staff.
Yeah, just to clarify, the item that was discussed a little while ago, number 6 previously under the middle category of proposals for city, state, and federal oversight is the new text that you see in track changes here. That is what the track change is. This is the reference from before, and that is the text from before.
Thank you, staff. So I'm just going to read it one more time into the record and ask for. So the track change is financial and administrative support as requested by the individual oversight body by municipalities. It is critical to the success of police oversight. Is there any strong opposition to the new language change here? Is there any, is there general agreement to the language proposed here? Thank you. I see, I believe we have consensus. Thank you all for making sure your hands are waving lots and lots for me because it keeps jumping around on my screen. So wonderful. And when you're finished, staff, we can move on to the next one. D3, the oversight agency should include as a preference in staff recruitment the candidates that candidates have experience working with the community. Is there any strong opinion to change any of this language? Or excuse me, yeah. Is there any general agreement to? Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, section E. Continual improvement. E1, the oversight system should be able to be improved by city council or independently over time. Is there any opposition to this language? And if you need a little bit longer to read, please feel free to take that. Has everybody read this section? Okay, is there any strong opposition to the language provided here? Is there general agreement to the language provided here? Commissioner Lavisa.
Oh, I think there's just like a small misspelling. Fluid, I think is probably the word. An iterative process that is fluid. FULID. Yeah, that's it. Very small.
Is there any strong opposition to that change? I don't think so. And there's a general agreement. Yay. Wonderful. I will also ask that for the full, again, for the full section. Is there any strong opposition to the changes to this language? Is there general agreement to the changes in this language? Thank you. If there isn't anything else, we'll move on. Section F, findings and standard review. F1, using the standard 4 options for findings after investigation for clarity and allow the addition of other findings for systemic solutions. Commissioner Dan.
Yeah, I might have typed those 4 in wrong. I thought I copied and pasted it, but I think it would be sustained, exonerated, insufficient evidence, and unfounded. But I'm gonna double check that. But I don't think we need. I'm hoping that if that's the case, that we can adjust that after the meeting, because I don't have time to look that up while we're in the middle of doing this.
Thank you, Commissioner Handelman. Besides the fact checking, are commissioners, is there any strong opposition to the language presented here? Is there general agreement to the language presented here? Okay. We have consensus, we can move on. F2, the oversight board should use the preponderance of the evidence standard, not the reasonable person standard. Is there any strong opposition to this proposed language? Is there general agreement to this proposed language? We have consensus. G, mediation. G1, mediation should be offered in more minor cases, but not in larger cases. Commissioner Iona.
Would it sound better to say, but not in more serious cases as opposed to larger? I don't know if others don't agree, that's fine. It just larger sound, I don't know, doesn't seem like quite the right word.
It seems like there is consensus with the commission with this language change. So I am not going to ask that question again. Is there general agreement with the overall language of this section? We have consensus. H, for jurisdictions and case authority. H1, some categories of cases should be defined for automatic investigation by the oversight body. I'll give you a moment to read this. Commissioner Dan?
Yeah, this one should get the charter addition to it.
Okay. Commissioner Hamilton.
Although now I'm looking at it, I just want to recognize that we might want to request that they add more automatic cases to the list. So, you know, maybe we can say a version of this is already included or something like that to indicate that we might want to have further discussion, if that's all right. There are some cases that are defined in the charter. Just we might want to add more to it.
So I'll read in, oh, Commissioner Lynn.
I'm just thinking about the comment. So you're suggesting that we add more. I mean, right now H is suggesting some categories of cases. We didn't say all, but some. And I know the charter has some. I don't think we're being really specific here. We're just being in general that some, which could be, we could change that at any point.
Commissioner Handelman.
I think Co-Chair Glenn, that I'm saying that's exactly what you're saying, that we can change it. But if we imply that the way the charter is written is just fine, then we might, you know, other commissioners might want to just skip over this question. So I think it would be a good idea to say that, you know, there's a version of this, but that, you know, that doesn't mean we shouldn't discuss it further.
Okay, so you just, all right, I get it. The version is already included in the charter. All right.
Okay, so I will read this into record. A version of this is already included in the Portland City Charter Community Police Oversight Board, Section 2.1. Is there any strong opposition to this addition of language to this section? Is there a general agreement to the addition of this language to this section? Wonderful. Okay. We have consensus. With that, now overall, is there any strong opposition to this section? Is there general agreement to the language in this section? Just the whole section? Okay, so there is consensus over the overall section. We can move on. Section I, transparency and public access. I1, all meetings and reporting should be public and all operations should be transparent. Commissioner Handelman.
This is also provided for in the charter. I just double checked.
So I'll read this section into the record. This is already included in Portland City Charter, Community Police Oversight Board, Section 210. Is there any strong opposition to this language being added to this section? Is there general agreement to this language being added to this section? Thank you. We have consensus. The overall section, is there any strong opposition to the language in this general section, in this proposed section? Is there a general agreement to the language that is proposed in this section? Okay, I see everybody's. There is a consensus. We can move on to the next section. J, oversight body member section. J1, oversight body section criteria should reflect those most affected by policing. And then there's a track change. Is that what I'm seeing? No, yes. It's hard to tell when they're so faded. Thank you. Okay. This is already included in Portland City Charter, Community Police Oversight Board, Section 210. Is there any opposition to the addition of this language into this section? Is there general agreement to the addition of this language to this section? Okay, general agreement. I didn't see Lavisa's hand. Oh, thank you, sorry, just want to make sure. Okay, we have consensus on the addition. And now for the overall section, is there any strong opposition to the language in this overall section? Is there general agreement to the language in this overall section? Thank you. Commissioner Handelman, I see.
So while staff was typing the sentence in about the charter, I pasted the language from the charter into the chat, and I'm reading it, and I thought I agreed, but now I'm reading it, and it says that the diversity is for communities with lived experiences and those who have experienced systemic racism, those who have experienced mental illness, addictions, or alcoholism, and it doesn't mention policing at all, actually. So, after we already agreed to put that in, maybe perhaps we should say, take it out, or say, something similar to this, or I don't know what's the best way to phrase it, but the people affected by policing is actually not in the charter.
Thank you, Commissioner Handelman.
So we're removing that from the charter. I mean, removing that from the section. Okay. Lisa?
Oh, I was gonna say maybe we could say Portland City Charter says, and then put the language from the charter in. Since a lot of those groups are groups that are affected by policing, that's just not the exact like definition that they used.
So what is your suggested, sorry,
So my suggestion was to just change the language to Portland City Charter Section 210. Yeah. Let's see.
So includes, and then the following.
Maybe specifies.
Mm.
Instead of includes. Or like specifically mentions.
it specifies,
Would be better.
specifies inclusion, including inclusion of representatives from diverse communities. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that looks good.
So I'll read this and then you all can tell me if this sounds good. Specifies inclusion of members from diverse communities and with diverse lived experience, particularly those who have experienced systemic racism and those who have experienced mental illness, addiction, or alcoholism. Does that sound good?
Just want to words, but just one tab includes members representing representatives from. Just whatever, just leave the members, or you can put membership includes representation from. Membership includes representation from. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read it again. Specific membership includes representation from diverse communities with diverse lived experiences, particularly those who have experienced systematic racism and those who have experienced mental illness, addiction, and alcoholism. Is there any opposition to the language addition? Or the proposed language addition? Is there a general agreement into the proposed language addition? Okay. I saw almost everybody's hands. We're still wordsmithing. Okay. I was like, are we still wordsmithing? Great. No. Fantastic. So I'm just going to go over for section J. Is there any strong opposition to the proposed language of this section? Is there a general agreement to the proposed language in this section? Thank you. We have consensus. I was going to say something else. I'm starting to. I was going to say there's consignment, but that does not work. There's no consignment here. That's my other hat, my other job. Okay, y'all, we can move on. All right, and I believe we're at the section from before. Okay, so we'll just do this whole section at once. There is a track change. I see it. Is that?
That's a resolved comment.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Commissioner Handelman.
Well, again, this introductory paragraph is brand new and we hadn't seen it before. And I just want to take a look at that one more time before we kind of gloss over it, that introductory paragraph. Because, well, I have to see it again to make the comment I was going to make. So yeah, these support the PAC's vision of accountability. I think it should say these proposals would support the new board's ability to function, and I think that's what's important. I think that's why we want to have them on the in the document.
Okay, so let me just read that into record. The change asked for is community police oversight board ability to function from PAC's vision of accountability. Is there any strong opposition to this proposed language change? Is there general agreement to change PAC's vision of accountability to community police oversight ability to function? Community police oversight board ability to function. Oh my goodness. Blech. Wonderful. We have consensus on the language change. And that overall paragraph, do we now have, is there any other strong opposition? Commissioner Handelman.
So just going back to my earlier comment, are we saying that, because I think the original suggestion I made was to end the sentence there. So support the community oversight board's ability to function, period. And then the rest of that, I don't think we need to put in there.
So maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but I thought we talked about this earlier, about letting the full commission review that.
Is there Commissioner Handelman?
I mean, again, the point where we're going to decide whether to put this forward to City Council is way down the line, and I don't want to have that kind of discussion about this language when we're presenting this to the full commission on Thursday. I think we should just have it say these are some things that people need to consider, and then instead of having a long discussion about whether the commission supports it or not, just leave it as, you know, research, facts, and the like. So I think we're doing pretty well in that, generally speaking. So I'd like to just see that end of the sentence cut off.
So doesn't the full commission get the opportunity to review this and say what the full commission wants? And we're keeping something from them that they could possibly want, maybe. Obviously, it's something that's been thought of here. So my thought is, why don't we let them take a look at it and decide, because we're not the commission, we're just a subcommittee.
Commissioner Monica.
Hey, thanks. I see what Commissioner Handelman is saying. I think taking out that last part of the sentence just makes it more concise and clear and to the point. So I would support taking that second half of the sentence out. I think the meaning of the entire paragraph doesn't change very much by doing that. We're just making it more concise.
Commissioner Handelman.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Arce, and I think, moreover, the consideration by the commission is whether or not to include these 6 or 5 now subparagraphs or not, and that will be where the decision gets made about what we think is important or not as a whole commission.
So I appreciate both of you guys' point of view. So, and I'm just thinking more broadly outside of the subcommittee. That's why I'm going to that. I guess that's part of my job as a co-chair to think about things more broadly, not just for us. So there's a lot of things that we've done here that we've made decisions on whether the full commission gets to see and doesn't get to see. I think this is a very small item. And I don't think it's going to take much, but I think when we present this, the full commission should have something to say about it. I don't want this to be something that we debate over. It's just the big picture. We've extended some things and made them more broad and more detailed, and we've taken some other things and made them more concise. So
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Commissioner Sophia. So then I'll just ask this question. Is there strong opposition to the proposed language being removed, or to the proposal to remove this text? Sorry. Is there strong opposition?
To remove it, I would
Yes.
just say strong opposition to remove it.
Okay. So there is strong opposition to remove this text from. So let's just keep on, I guess, Sophia, if you wanted to elaborate a little bit more, and I saw Dan that your hand was up as well. We can continue talking about this.
I would like to say there's strong opposition to keeping it.
Commissioner Handelman.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know we're trying so hard to work on consensus, but we can't have something both in and not in the document. My deep concern about it is that this is supposed to be a document presenting the research that we did, and now we're inserting an opinion about what the commission wants to do with this research, and that's very different from everything else that we have in both the other document and this document, and that's why I'm very concerned about adding it. So I don't know how we're going to come to a consensus on it, but that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, co-chair Sophia, do we want to take a vote instead?
I really don't want this to come to a vote. That's not where I'm headed at that. My job is to share the big picture for the commission. There's a lot of other opinions on here. This whole thing is our opinion because it's all of our research. And even though it's something that someone else has said, we have decided whether it goes into this document or not, which is our opinion. So that is my whole point here. Everything we have here is basically our opinion, whether we think it is something for the commission or not. Whether it's something we want to bring to the full commission. So this whole document really is our opinion. So I will leave this, but I will continue to just say that this is a broad picture thing, and that is my job to look at not just our subcommittee, but to look out for the full commission.
So before we go into that, I just want to ask again, just to make sure where we're at. So do we have consensus? Or actually, is there any strong opposition to the change in this language? Is there a general agreement into the removal of this language? So I did not see consensus. I saw, because Sophia, you didn't put your hands up, correct? Oh, you
Yeah.
did?
Mhm.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So there is consensus. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, commissioners. And we've gone through this before. So this section, basically the top section was, or the paragraph introduction to this section. I just want to make sure that there's general consensus for this overall section. So for the proposal for city, state, and federal considerations, I'm just going to read it. The Police Accountability Commission, having evaluate proposals given to the commission or the city for the subject matter experts, agrees that the following items are proposals to consider. The Police Accountability Commission mandate from City Council does not include addressing these items. Nonetheless, these proposals support the community's police oversight board ability to function. Is there any strong opposition to this language, this proposed language? Is there general agreement to the change of this proposed language, since there is fitting? Okay, we have consensus over this paragraph. And I believe we also have consensus on moving forward through this particular section. Am I correct with that? Because all 6 of these we've gone through before. Just so you can read through them. So excuse me, there is 5 since one was moved to another section. I'll just state for this whole section 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there any strong opposition to any of the language proposed in this section? Oh, I see a waving of hands from. Okay, Commission 5. Oh, did I say 6 again? Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I kept seeing like, I wasn't sure if it was spirit hands or whatever. Okay, thank you, y'all. To sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there any strong opposition to the proposed language in these 5 sections? Is there general agreement to the changes and to the proposed language in these 5 sections? Okay, wonderful. We have consensus. We can move on. Proposals to avoid. The Police Accountability Commission, having evaluated proposals given to the commission or the city for subject matter experts, agrees that the following items are proposals to avoid in Portland. Number 1, the Community Oversight Agency should not limit community involvement where it interferes with the ability to get work done. Oh, did I read something wrong? Should not. Sorry, I think I added a not. Sorry, let me read this again. My goodness. My eyes are starting to turn into squish. My apologies. Okay, and that was the above section, correct? So staff, can you please scroll? Oh, thank you. Number 1, The community, thank you. The community oversight agency should limit community involvement where it interferes with the ability to get work done. Did I do it right this time? I hope I did. Okay. Is there any strong opposition to this language? Okay. I see that there is something very lightly highlighted and it says flag for discussion. Is that a removed comment? Thank you. I can't tell from this side if it's removed or not removed. So thank you very much, staff. Is there general agreement to the proposed language? Thank you. There is consensus. Okay, so I believe we're finished with this document. So I'm just gonna ask for the whole document. Yay! Is there strong opposition to referring this to the full referring this document to the full commission? Oh, before we go into the vote, I would like to do public comment. Can I ask Victoria to ask for public comment? I need my eyes need a moment.
Sure.
Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome. Let me share the screen. And okay. Now we're gonna go to public comment. Okay.
Victoria, we have staff.
Okay, yes, staff, please.
Thank you. So just to clarify, the subcommittee will need to take a decision on whether or not to refer the document as a whole to the full commission for their consideration. And prior to that is a special, unique, and limited public comment opportunity separate from the general public comment.
Oh, okay.
Specific to the conversation. So before seeing if there's consensus around approving the document and referring it to the full commission, the subcommittee will hear from the public. After that, facilitators will ask if members want to make any final tweaks and then ask if they are ready to make a decision. We ask members of the public to keep their comments to 2 minutes in length and keep their comments focused on the draft document. You can raise your hand in Zoom when you'd like to be called on. Are there any members of the public who'd like to give comment on the potential decision of the subcommittee to refer the draft areas of agreement on subject matter experts to the full commission? Seeing none, I'll pass it back over to the facilitators to ask the questions.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. And Ayomide, you want me to ask the questions or you want to ask them?
I can ask the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess my questions, are there any tweaks that you would like to make to this document before going to a vote? Commissioner Handelman.
Just as a point of clarification, I'm going to make sure that that one word in the Luna Fireball thing is right, but other than that, no.
Okay. Staff.
Actually, there is a fact check on that. Thank you, Commissioner Dan. Your comment that it is unfounded is that the term is unfounded is correct. So I'll put the link in the chat here to the article. And it's on page 13 that uses the word unfounded. So just for the record, we'll screen share and show the change.
And then I read it into record.
Yes, thank you. And
Excellent.
thank you for bringing that back up, Commissioner Dan.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this, is there general agreement to change the word unproven to unfounded in this section? General agreement. Excellent. And I'll just say overall for this section, is there any strong opposition to any of the changes made to this section? Is there general agreement to this overall section, section F, findings and standards of review? Okay, we have consensus on this section. Thank you, staff. I believe we can move on to the whole. Thank you. All right, is there any strong opposition to referring the draft areas of agreements to full PAC for their consideration? Is there general agreement around referring the draft areas of agreements to the full PAC or full PAC for their consideration? Fantastic. Congratulations, commissioners.
Woohoo!
We have finished this lovely document.
Great job, everybody.
All right, let's take 5 minutes. And we'll see you in 5. So we'll be back at 8:45. Okay. All right. We will now move to discussing the draft of areas of agreements and proposals to consider or avoid from other jurisdictions. This will include reviewing the document, which had some minor updates to the text. It will also include reviewing items flagged for the discussion in advance of the discussion to refer. We ask you to follow the normal discussions. Please be brief each time you speak, even though you can speak multiple times. Please remember that please be facilitated. Remember, we'll be using a weighted stack in our discussion. Finally, please be forward-looking in your comments. Co-chair Sophia, would you like to get us started?
Yes. So I'll wait for staff. Okay. So as with the subject matter experts, we have created a table of contents, which of course will reflect any changes we make. Will go into that automatically. And just let you scroll through just to see So, I will ask staff, I know we talked about, how we're going to proceed and, we're going to, I don't remember if we're starting with the new items or we're going with things that have been changed since the last meeting. I want to ask staff, I can't remember.
Either way works. Would you prefer it if we walk through the changes?
Yeah, let's do that. I remember, I just, right now, my brain is brain dead. I'm sorry. It's
No
just
problem. And this,
a long day. Every day is catchy.
so, in addition to the somewhat, the first thing you saw on here, which is the addition of the table of contents, there are some consolidation of categories and combination of things that were flagged in the Thursday meeting. There had been a short conversation about a section that had been relatively early in the document, and whether or not there would be, it was related to another section that was very late in the document. It was about the city council or commissioner in charge's obligation to respond. And that was related to a high up category, but not below. So in looking at that and how to address it, there was a concerted effort made by co-chairs to consolidate some of the categories and bring it down so that it'd be easier. And then that's the first thing, along with the table of contents. There's no changes that were made to the first couple categories. That is all track changes from the last meeting. The first change is about 6 categories. Comments. So the consolidation includes, for example, the budget and office question. Instead of having a category with one item, it was put into a sort of agency resources category to combine them. And then there are some unresolved comments that we can circle back to as well. Would you, so just kind of walk through them and then we can circle back. And then there were also a couple of requests for fact check that I'm not sure if there was a response to that yet. And then as you get down towards the letter, I think it's L here, there's a lot more that's showing in track changes. This is either new text by co-chairs and staff or revisions to the sections that were shown on Thursday's meeting based on the feedback that members gave during the Thursday meeting that co-chairs and staff were going through over the Friday till now, since that meeting was on last Thursday. Yeah. So basically from, if Co-Chair Sophia can correct this, I think from L on is new, L through Q, or revised from then. And there are a couple changes to the formatting as well. I believe it was Commissioner Dan, but I don't know who suggested the subdots, for example. So there are a couple of things like that as well in here that are revisions. New text under P, and finally new text under Q.
Okay. So now I remember, I'm so sorry that I was getting brain dead. What we discussed was going back to the ones with the changes. So I don't remember how you did that last time, where you kind of changed it so that we could only see the ones, we would only see the items.
Sure.
Yeah. That had the track changes, had changes to be made on it. Okay.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to look at the whole, everything. All right. Is that the first one?
That is the first one. Yes, thank you.
So section K2.
Yeah, K2. If you want to read this section.
So am I just reading the title and then the change? Is that what we want? Okay.
I believe so.
All right, so K2, the complainant may appeal findings as well as dismiss or decision not to investigate. Oh, yeah, did I read that right? Yeah, the complainant may appeal findings as well as dismissal or decide not to investigate. There we go. And the track change is if they disagree with findings. Is there any strong opposition? And I'm not sure if the whole thing is visible. So I see that it's just that. Commissioner Handelman.
Well, it appears that this was a question of fact checking,
Yeah,
and we didn't receive this document until 6:58 for the 7 o'clock meeting tonight. So I had requested several days ago to get a copy of the document with these track changes because I couldn't remember what I was supposed to fact check. I did my best with my sketchy notes, but I didn't remember this, and this was something from a jurisdiction that I looked at. So I'm pulling up the original San Francisco information that I provided. I'm not finding the word disagree with findings in here. So I'm not sure whose language this is, if there's mine or something that got added by staff or what. Can we figure that out?
So Dan, would you like to hold off on this and come back to it?
Yeah, that's probably the best. That's probably the best thing for this particular item because I didn't have time to. I mean, I just found the section of the my original research document, and it's just as vague as what we have written here. So I'll see if I can find out more.
No worries. We can come back.
Okay, thank you.
So let's table this one for now, the discussion, and move to the next one, please. You're on the spot again, Dan. Got your hand up already.
I knew that was left up. I was just.
I did too, but I had to say it because it just popped
Okay.
and it flowed.
K3, the oversight board has independent authority to reopen cases. And then this one again is flagged for further discussion by Mr. Handelman. Commissioner Handelman. And do you want more time on that? Would you like us to table this section as well?
Yeah, well, it was I've got my Word program up on top of the Zoom right now. So can you tell me what the comment says?
There, it just says flag for further discussion. There was no other comment. Staff.
Yeah, this was in the spreadsheet. So to give an idea of the chronology of it, it's probably from 3 or 4 meetings back when the spreadsheet section was gone through. And at the time, items that I believe co-chairs at the time were just asking members of the commission, or sorry, members of the subcommittee, if they'd like to flag anything for further discussion, and not particularly noting what the flag was about. So it just said flag for further discussion, and in parentheses, Dan, on the spreadsheet. Thanks.
Commissioner Iona.
So on this one, I'm pretty sure that at least a couple of the jurisdictions I researched had examples of this particular, backing at this particular point. So are they going to be added, or do I need to find them? To tell you the truth, I was working on this the last couple nights, and I don't remember this point for some reason when I looked through all the headings, but yeah, I feel like, like I know, I feel like the ones I looked at had this option. So I feel like we should add more than just San Diego into this one. So I can, if we can get a copy of this, because I think it looks different than what I was working on, then I can find those and stick them in.
Thank you, Commissioner Iona. Commissioner Sophia. You're muted.
Yes, I just wanted to point out that you know, as I've been going through things too, things are popping up. So they weren't necessarily in this, if they weren't necessarily in the spreadsheet, once someone had pointed them out in the spreadsheet, we started finding that, at least in my mind, I started finding that it was applicable to other jurisdictions. So there's nothing that says we can't add the other jurisdictions. It's just at the time, that's what was in there. And I know that there's other jurisdictions that a lot of these would be able to add to. So if you find those, Debbie, please just forward it to us and be happy to put it in.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Excellent. All right.
So wait 1 second, I just want to make sure we just flag, it's not just flagged as general again, we just
Yeah.
flag for adding jurisdictions as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Handelman.
Yeah, well, I just went back to the original San Diego research and the spreadsheet, and I don't see what I would have flagged it for. So I'm happy to agree with that with Commissioner Iona to add other items here, and I can drop my flag for discussion flag. I also, seeing that it's 8:59, I just want to point out, I went through the 17 sections that we hadn't gone through yet by the end of the last meeting and did suggested language for them. I posted them all in the chat, and unfortunately, it would not let me post them in bulk. So if you want to download them one at a time, you can do that. You know, since we're not supposed to deliberate between meetings, I thought I would just post this here during our meeting, and hopefully other commissioners can download those and look at them, so that when we have our next meeting, even if the draft document hasn't incorporated them all, you'll have a chance to look them over. I think that would be a really good thing to help us get through this as fast as we can. I did these on Saturday and Sunday this weekend, and I can see already that the staff and co-chairs didn't have a chance to incorporate it all into the draft that we were sent today. So I'm sorry, but there are 17 files, but each one is a separate section, so it's easy to follow.
Yes, thank you so much, Dan. Yeah, it was about 12 emails. So no, we did not have time to get through them. I wish I was a robot in that sense, but no, we have not had time. Plus, we've already got some drafts that we haven't presented to you all yet. So yes, there's a lot to go through, but I'd like to thank you for that. So we can, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so it's 9:01. And I think we should go into public comment, just general public comment. Yeah, thank you, staff. And can we have a slide, please? Thank you. So we are going to take general public comment. Please we'll take public comment on the issues of the subcommittees discussing, and community members can tell their story about policing and police accountability. We ask members of the public to keep their comments and questions to 2 minutes in length, and raise your hand using the Zoom if you'd like to speak. I am not seeing anyone. Okay, great. So thank you for the public for being here. And I believe staff has the floor for next steps.
Thank you. So as Commissioner Dan alluded to, there are several suggestions, not just from Commissioner Dan, which were referenced, but also from Commissioner Debbie and Commissioner Catherine. So thank you to all of them for submitting a lot of material to go through. The next steps, well, actually, before just to separate out the two documents. So the next steps on the other jurisdictions will involve looking at that. Additionally, in parallel to that process, co-chair Angie, co-chair Sophia, we're working on a lot of the changes that were implemented. So trying to find ways to square those will be a part of that, and trying to circulate that in advance to allow for email input on the document, the same way that there was an email that went out asking for track changes input on the subject matter experts on Friday. So that can all be condensed and presented and able to be read in advance of the next subcommittee meeting, which is the Monday, October 3rd, in which hopefully the areas of agreement, draft areas of agreement on other jurisdictions will be referred to the full commission. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is the document that was just referred. So the document that was just referred is the draft areas of agreement on subject matter experts, which will be sent to the full commission. The full commission is meeting on Thursday of this week and Thursday of next week. Between those two meetings, there will be the opportunity to hopefully finish final approval of all three of the fact-finding phase documents, one of which has just been referred, the draft areas agreement on subject matter experts, one of which is being developed directly at the full commission level, which is the draft areas of agreement on barriers to police accountability and best practices in the current system in Portland, and the third of which will hopefully be referred next Monday for consideration by the full commission on Thursday. Again, the goal for each of these is to allow for at least 4 or 5 days for members to have with the document to be able to provide individual suggestions for changes, in-track changes, and then to send those in so that they can be combined into a single document and recirculated so that members are able to know what the points of not necessarily disagreement, but desired changes to the draft are prior to the meeting in which it is either referred next Monday or approved by the full commission, which will again either be this Thursday or next Thursday. And any of the items that are not in track changes right now, but rather more philosophical or general comments, co-chairs are going to be working on trying to square those by developing new or adapted text for those in between and include that on the same timeline with everything that we just discussed. So that's the next steps. This all is in service of concluding the fact-finding phase of work on Thursday, October 6th, with approving whichever of the documents are not completed yet, because some of them may be completed by the full commission on this Thursday, September 29th. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Okay, so this will go to the.
You muted, Debbie, Debbie, Commissioner Debbie.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I've been thinking to call on you, but I've been waiting. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay, I just have a quick question of Samir. When will the commission get the thing that we said was ready, the subject matter experts? I was thinking if they had a couple days to read it, things might go faster on Thursday night.
Tonight.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thanks a lot.
And that's a good question. Thank you. I think it's been said before that more time is good, and we definitely all agree with that. Now, there's nothing being waited on for that document to be sent out, so it's ready to send as is, and it will be sent as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Iona, and thank you, staff. We will now go to the garden plot recap. This is a time for co-chairs and facilitators to summarize any items brought up today which didn't fit in today's agenda. We'll recap those items here and use them in developing future agendas. We won't be using this time to add new items not previously mentioned or discuss them, but we will use this list to develop future agendas so that these items can be discussed. So Victoria, are there any items on your garden plot list for this meeting?
No, I don't have anything for the garden plots.
Okay, staff?
Nothing beyond the yet to be resolved comments and track changes in the other jurisdictions document. Thank you.
And co-chairs. Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you all for your hard work and completion in your document this evening. Thank you all to the members who attended today's meeting and for your contributions. Thank you to the interpreters that were here today that supported the Police Accountability Commission and its subcommittees for all Portlanders. Thank you to you all, because you were the briefers. There wasn't any other briefers today. Finally, thank you to the members of the community for attending and contributing for your thoughts and questions. You can give advance public comment prior to future meetings. You can sign up for email updates on the PAC or PAC work, the PAC's work as well. The next meeting of the subcommittee will be scheduled on Monday the 3rd. Is that correct? That's correct. And I want to make sure I'm seeing everything else. Oh, I was going to say thank you and give the emails, but there they are. Thank you. You can give a written public comment in advance of future meetings at tinyurl.com/Portland PAC comment. Please sign up for email updates at Portland Accountability Commission at tinyurl.com/Portland PAC update. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Meeting is adjourned.